When I was 12 years old, I spent the summer with my Aunt Maria, Uncle Joseph, and 2 cousins in California. It was my first time in the state, and the whole experience was a blast. We visited Universal Studios, Legoland, Sea World, and even went camping in the redwood forests with another family, led by a woman we'll call Rosa. One evening, after a day of hiking, we were hanging out at the cabin, eating dinner, laughing, and playing board games. As night fell, it was time for me, Maria, Joseph, and my cousins to walk back to our tent in the dark. We said our goodbyes and grabbed our stuff, flicking on our flashlights as we exited the cabin. Feeling more exhausted than usual, I lagged behind the group. About 3 minutes into our walk, I heard a faint voice calling my name, Andy. At first, I wondered if it was just my fatigue playing tricks on me. But then, I heard it again, clearer this time, sounding like Rosa's voice. I turned around and shone my flashlight, asking if she was there. The voice persisted, calling my name, and although it resembled Rosa's, something felt off. It was as if she was speaking through a distorted, staticky medium. Intrigued and a bit confused, I walked toward the sound, thinking maybe she had forgotten something. However, no matter where I pointed my flashlight, I couldn't find her. Suddenly, the voice called my name again, but this time it felt wrong. The familiarity was replaced by an unsettling feeling. I stopped in my tracks, realizing something was amiss. The voice sounded like Rosa, but distorted, like a broken radio. I sensed something in front of me, hiding from my flashlight. It didn't feel normal, and although I wasn't scared, I knew its intentions weren't benign. Just as I pondered whether it was a prank, my Aunt Maria jogged towards me, asking why I was standing there. Startled, I explained what happened, from the strange voice to the unsettling feeling. Maria shrugged it off, suggesting it might be a camper playing a trick. I glanced back one last time, catching a glimpse of a leg disappearing into the shadows, like that of a dog. The next morning, I asked Rosa if she had gone out looking for us, but she denied it, mentioning they had fallen asleep watching TV. Confused, I later asked her husband, who confirmed they were all asleep on the couch after we left. Fast forward 4 years, and a friend with experience in the supernatural suggested it might have been a skinwalker. The chilling revelation made me rethink my camping adventures on the West Coast. I was only 9 years old when I found myself in a peculiar and unsettling situation at a summer camp. It was the second night, and I was sharing a cabin with my friend Luke. Up until then, everything had been going splendidly at our summer retreat. Laughter, campfire stories, and the excitement of being away from home filled the air. However, as the clock struck 2 a.m., an unexpected turn of events unfolded, shrouding the night in mystery. I was roused from a deep sleep by an eerie combination of sounds, a deep, rhythmic breathing accompanied by a strange thumping. It seemed to be emanating from somewhere above us, disrupting the otherwise peaceful atmosphere of the camp. Luke and I exchanged confused glances, our wide eyes meeting in the dim light of our cabin. The rhythmic breathing continued, a low and ominous sound that sent shivers down our spines. As we lay there, trying to make sense of the unsettling noise, the atmosphere in the cabin became tense. It was as if an invisible veil of unease had descended upon us. The thumping sound persisted, creating an unsettling rhythm that echoed through the walls of our cabin. We whispered to each other, speculating on the origin of the mysterious disturbance. Unable to contain our curiosity, we mustered the courage to venture outside, hoping to decipher the source of the peculiar sounds. The camp was eerily quiet, with only the night's subtle whispers and the occasional rustling of leaves breaking the silence. We strained our ears, attempting to pinpoint the location of the strange noises. As we ventured into the night, a sense of foreboding accompanied us. The forest around us seemed to come alive with unseen movements, each shadow concealing potential mysteries. The thumping persisted, growing louder as we followed its elusive trail. It led us deeper into the heart of the camp, where the trees stood like silent sentinels guarding their secrets. We eventually found ourselves near the camp's bathrooms, a separate structure from our cabin. The night air was thick with an otherworldly tension, and the subtle illumination from the moon cast eerie shadows on the ground. I hesitated, my hand lingering on the door handle, before pushing it open with cautious trepidation. Inside, the cold, sterile light revealed a scene that sent a chill down my spine. The bathroom was empty, devoid of any signs of life. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creaking of the wooden structure. I quickly turned off the light, hoping to retreat from the eerie emptiness of the space. However, before I could leave, a sudden drop in temperature enveloped me. A bone-chilling coldness swept through the air, causing me to shiver involuntarily. It was then that I noticed the small grated windows near the ceiling. Peering through them, I was met with a sight that would forever be etched into my memory. A tall, thin figure moved steadily around the exterior of the bathroom. Its silhouette was grotesque, with thin, gray skin clinging to a skeletal frame. Bones protruded at odd angles, giving it an otherworldly and unsettling appearance. The figure's height exceeded 8 feet, and its movements were deliberate, each step echoing in the stillness of the night. Fear seized me, and I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't comprehend the surreal sight before me. The figure seemed oblivious to my presence, yet an unspoken terror lingered in the air. Without further hesitation, I sprinted back to the safety of our cabin, my mind racing with the surreal encounter. Miraculously, the remainder of that ominous night unfolded without any further disturbances. Dawn brought a mix of relief and lingering apprehension. As the sun rose, casting its warm rays over the camp, I couldn't shake the unsettling image of the thin, gray figure from my mind. The following days passed without incident, and I tried to rationalize the bizarre events of that night. Perhaps it was a trick of the imagination, an elaborate prank by fellow campers, or simply a manifestation of the natural sounds of the forest. Yet, the image of the tall, skeletal figure haunted my thoughts, leaving a lasting impression on my young mind. As the week drew to a close, I found myself hesitating near the bathrooms, half expecting another encounter with the mysterious entity. To my relief, the camp returned to a semblance of normalcy. However, a lingering sense of unease persisted, a silent reminder of the inexplicable events that had unfolded in the heart of the night. It wasn't until the final day of camp that the mysteries took an even stranger turn. I approached the bathroom, intending to use it one last time before departing. To my surprise, I discovered the lights were broken, and the door had been forcibly pulled off its hinges. The once familiar structure now bore the scars of an unseen force, further deepening the enigma surrounding that unsettling night. As the camp week concluded, I couldn't shake the feeling that something beyond my understanding had transpired. The counselors and fellow campers, equally perplexed, offered no explanations. The memories of that fateful night lingered, an unsettling undercurrent that would shape my perception of summer camps for years to come. In the years that followed, the details of that peculiar night blurred with the passage of time. Yet, the sense of mystery and the chilling image of the thin, gray figure remained etched in the recesses of my memory. The experience served as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the seemingly idyllic setting of a summer camp could harbor inexplicable and unsettling secrets. Despite the passage of time, the summer camp incident became a story shared in hushed tones among friends, a tale of the unknown that transcended the boundaries of ordinary campfire stories. The enigma of that night left an indelible mark on my childhood, shaping my perspective on the mysteries that lurk in the shadows of the seemingly mundane. As the summer sun cast its warm embrace over Maine, I found myself embarking on a journey to Lakeview Summer Camp. It was my first year at Camp Lakeview, and little did I know that the seemingly tranquil summer camp experience would take a chilling turn. The tale revolves around a counselor named Andrew, a Floridian with a friendly demeanor, at least, that's what I thought at first. He struck a deal with me, allowing me to plug in my iPod in exchange for borrowing my fidget spinner. It was a harmless exchange, or so it seemed. Days passed without incident until whispers circulated through the cabin. Andrew had allegedly pushed one of our fellow campers onto a rock, sparking concerns among the campers. The atmosphere quieted down briefly, but unease lingered like a ghostly presence. Another incident unfolded, this time with a different camper, leading to Andrew's expulsion from the camp. Little did I know, these were just the tip of the iceberg. Counselors began revealing disturbing stories about Andrew, indicating he had been paying unsettling attention to certain campers. The revelation sent shivers down my spine, realizing how close I had come to potential danger. The email I received from my friend Abigail, recounting her eerie experience at her family's cabin in Colorado, added another layer of unsettling tales. Lost in the woods, she stumbled upon a peculiar cabin with an open door and an eerie yellow light. The encounter with a mysterious man inside took a sinister turn, leaving her in a nightmarish scenario. The cabin, the strange man, and the pulsating darkness outside created an atmosphere of dread that lingered long after the ordeal. Then, the cabin creature tale, set in the serene UK countryside during a family vacation, introduced a surreal encounter with an unknown entity. Claw marks on trees, an ominous feeling, and a creature with scaly textures and yellow lizard-like eyes left an indelible mark on the storyteller. The scar on their back served as a haunting reminder of an otherworldly experience. Each story, though distinct, shared an undercurrent of fear and the unknown. The camp, the cabin, and the countryside became settings for encounters that defied logic and challenged the boundaries of reality. As I reflect on these stories, a common thread emerges, the thin line between the familiar and the inexplicable. Camps that should be filled with camaraderie turned into arenas of potential danger. Cabins meant for relaxation transformed into portals to nightmarish dimensions. Countrysides that promised tranquility harbored secrets beyond imagination. The narratives also highlight the vulnerability of individuals in the face of the unknown. Campers, hikers, and vacationers, unaware of the terrors lurking in their surroundings, find themselves thrust into situations beyond their control. It's a reminder that even in the most idyllic settings, darkness can rear its head. The counselor, Andrew, becomes a symbol of the dangers that can hide behind a friendly facade. His actions, initially subtle, escalated into a series of disturbing incidents, exposing the hidden menace within the camp's confines. The cabin in Colorado, with its open door and inviting interior, becomes a trap, ensnaring those who venture inside. The creature in the UK countryside embodies the primal fear of the unknown, a force that defies comprehension and challenges the boundaries of reality. These stories serve as cautionary tales, urging us to be vigilant even in seemingly safe environments. The woods, the cabins, and the countryside, all carry secrets that demand respect and awareness. The tales remind us that the line between the ordinary and the extraordinary is often blurred, and what appears benign can morph into something far more sinister. As I immerse myself in these narratives, I can't help but question the nature of reality. Are these stories mere fabrications, fueled by imagination and fear? Or do they serve as glimpses into a realm beyond our understanding, where the ordinary and the extraordinary coexist? Regardless of the answers, these tales linger in my mind, casting a shadow over the notion of safety and security. The innocence of summer camps, family cabins, and countryside vacations becomes tinged with a sense of foreboding. The woods, the cabins, and the creatures that inhabit them are no longer just elements of a story, they are cautionary symbols, urging us to tread carefully in the realms where reality and the unknown converge. The memories of that fateful trip to our family property in Northern California still send shivers down my spine. It was a time when my brothers and I, despite our rocky relationships, decided to spend a week or two away from the bustling city life, seeking solace and bonding in the mountains. Little did we know that this trip would lead us to encounter something beyond our wildest imagination. We set off on a Wednesday, armed with excitement, a lifted Chevy 1500 loaded with guns, food, fishing gear, and, of course, plenty of beer and Jameson. The drive was a mix of anticipation and the scenic beauty of Northern California. As we navigated through secluded roads and gravel paths, the landscape transformed into a serene haven, away from the chaos of urban life. Our destination was a garden nestled high up on the mountain, a getaway where we could unwind, connect, and enjoy the freedom of nature. The property boasted a newer cabin, built by one of my brothers, surrounded by other structures for cooking, bathing, and storage. The first few days were idyllic, spent tending the garden, sharing beers, and exploring the old logging roads in our truck. The atmosphere was filled with laughter and the promise of a much-needed brotherly bonding. On the fourth day, an unexpected visitor disrupted the tranquility of our mountain retreat. Bob, an old mountain man who valued his privacy, approached us. He warned about the presence of mountain lions in the area, sharing a heartbreaking tale of how one had attacked his beloved dog, Martha. Despite the somber start, we appreciated the heads-up and went about our day, unaware of the unexpected turn our journey would take. That evening, after Bob had left, my brothers huddled in conversation, leaving me curious about the mysterious exchange. It turned out we were going hunting the next morning, targeting the very mountain lion that had caused Bob so much grief. My eldest brother had a predator tag, and the prospect of a hunting adventure excited us. The next morning, at 3 a.m., we were up and ready. I prepared myself for the hunt, showered, sprayed my clothes with scent block, and grabbed my 6.5 Creedmoor along with a coffee and a Marlboro. We were embarking on a journey into the heart of the wilderness, armed with the hope of returning victorious from the hunt. We reached a spring, the origin of a small creek, and set up blinds around 200 yards away. The anticipation hung in the air as we waited patiently for light, sipping on coffee and sharing snacks. Our conversation shifted to Bob's plight and the possibility of encountering the elusive mountain lion. As first light broke, my brother used his rangefinder to measure the distance to the spring pool. It was 205 yards, a perfect setup. However, our focus shifted abruptly when a raccoon appeared at the pool, only to run off in a sudden panic. We exchanged puzzled glances, wondering about the cause of the raccoon's distress. Out of the brush emerged a creature unlike anything we had ever seen. It resembled a wolf, but its head was disproportionately large and square, reminiscent of a massive pit bull. The rear legs seemed to be huffed like a deer's. Intrigued and bewildered, we observed the creature until it turned its attention directly toward us. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The creature bared its teeth, resembling those of a lion or a big cat, and emitted a high-pitched squealing noise. We were frozen, unsure of how to react to this bizarre encounter. Before we could gather our thoughts, the creature shrieked like a broken siren and vanished into the woods. The memory of that eerie sound lingered, echoing in our minds. Shaken by the experience, we headed back to the cabin, contemplating what we had witnessed. My brother shared that the creature had bared its teeth the moment it sensed our presence, despite our efforts to remain silent and upwind. It left us with more questions than answers, and an unsettling feeling settled over our mountain haven. Upon returning to the cabin, we decided to seek the wisdom of Bob, the the seasoned mountain man who had lived in the area for decades. We recounted our encounter, hoping he could shed light on the mysterious creature. To our surprise, Bob acknowledged our experience and proceeded to share a chilling tale of his own. Bob spoke of a time, years ago when he first acquired the property, when a deer-like creature haunted the woods. The creature emitted shrieks through the night, resembling the cries of a mountain lion. Bob had seen it twice, each time at a distance that prevented any harm. He described the creature as an android-like being, mimicking a deer but lacking the authenticity of a real animal. According to Bob, the creature had vanished from the area for 30 years, leaving him with the assumption that our encounter might have been with the same shapeshifter he had encountered years ago. He warned us to be cautious, emphasizing the unpredictable nature of the woods. As we processed Bob's story, a sense of unease settled over our remaining days at the cabin. We couldn't shake the memory of the creature's teeth and the haunting shriek that pierced the serene mountain air. Even a raccoon in the bathhouse, though a mundane occurrence, sent shivers down our spines, reminding us of the inexplicable events we had witnessed. The days passed without further incidents, and we eventually packed our bags, leaving the mountain with a mix of relief and lingering uncertainty. The memory of that creature, whether a shapeshifter or an unknown entity, became a part of our shared history, a story we would retell with a sense of disbelief and trepidation. The trip that began with the promise of brotherly bonding had unfolded into an unexpected encounter with the supernatural. The mountains north of Cohasset held secrets that defied explanation, leaving us with a newfound respect for the mysteries that lurked within the woods. One summer, my close friend Dane and I embarked on our annual pilgrimage to visit his grandparents at their cabin nestled in the serene North Georgia mountains. We were all outdoorsy folks, so finding exciting activities around the area was always on the agenda. One particular night, we decided to spice things up with a night hike on a trail not far from the cabin. It wasn't your typical hiking trail, rather, it was a gravel dirt road frequented by hunters, campers, motorbikers, and backpackers alike. As we approached the trailhead, our excitement turned to cautious curiosity as we noticed an older, beat-up black Chevy SUV parked suspiciously next to the entrance. Two middle-aged men occupied the vehicle, casting a shadow of uncertainty over our plans. Given the reputation of these deep woods for occasional sketchy activities, we opted for caution and decided to explore an alternative trail about half a mile down the road. Parking the truck just beyond the view of the road, we set out on our night hike adventure. The hike started off well, with the moon casting an ethereal glow on the trail. Around a mile in, however, we were interrupted by the persistent barking of a dog, seemingly emanating from about 300 feet away. Uncertain of the dog's disposition and whether it was on a leash, we hesitated. The barking persisted, and a growing sense of unease led us to make the decision to turn back. As we retraced our steps, the barking dog continued its canine serenade. About 1,000 feet from the truck, our gaze locked onto an unsettling sight, a car parked behind my friend's grandpa's truck, its headlights cutting through the darkness. This unexpected presence sent shivers down our spines. Who would roll up behind a random truck on an isolated trail at 10 o'clock at night? Compounding our anxiety was the realization that the truck was not visible from the road. One had to venture into the trail to discover our parked vehicle. We stood there, frozen for a moment, surveying the scene. With darkness obscuring our view, we strained to see if anyone was present. Taking advantage of a large tree by the trail, we positioned ourselves behind it, shielding us from the prying eyes of whoever was in the car. My friend's grandpa, resourceful as ever, produced night vision binoculars in an attempt to glean more information. Unfortunately, the limited visibility persisted, leaving us uncertain about the occupants of the mysterious vehicle. Choosing not to risk exposure, we opted to wait until the intruders departed. For 10 agonizing minutes, we stood there, anxiously monitoring the car behind the truck. To our dismay, the car suddenly revved its engine and began to maneuver around the truck, heading down the trail in our direction. Instinctively, we sprinted up a nearby hill, seeking refuge behind a log perched at the summit. Heartbeats thundering in our chests, we concealed ourselves, praying that the approaching vehicle wouldn't uncover our hiding spot. The same beat-up black Chevy SUV that had raised our suspicions earlier cruised past the area where we had stood just moments ago. The windows were rolled down, and the car slowed down as it passed. The gravity of the situation hit us. These were not chance encounters, these individuals were purposefully prowling the area. As the car disappeared from view, relief washed over us. We cautiously emerged from our hiding spot, urgency propelling us back to the truck. With adrenaline still coursing through our veins, we wasted no time in fleeing the unsettling scene. Reflecting on the ordeal during our escape, myriad questions raced through our minds. Who were those individuals, and what did they want? My intuition whispered that they might have a hidden stash deeper in the woods, and our presence had inadvertently disrupted their plans. The possibilities of a confrontation or worse scenarios sent chills down our spines. What if we had stumbled upon their stash, unaware of the danger lurking in the shadows? The night held a myriad of what-ifs. What if we had reached the trail a mere 2 seconds later, exposing ourselves to potential danger? What if the car had decided to stop, prompting its occupants to search for us in the darkness? The unsettling nature of these unanswered questions lingered long after we had left the ominous trail behind. In the aftermath, we couldn't shake the lingering unease. The safety of the woods we once considered familiar and welcoming had been disrupted by an unsettling encounter with the unknown. It made us reevaluate our perception of the serene and idyllic North Georgia mountains. The beauty of nature had taken a back seat to the haunting memories of that fateful night. In the subsequent days, the incident became a topic of fervent discussion among us. Each recounting of the events added nuances and details, reinforcing the gravity of what we had narrowly escaped. The sense of vulnerability that had surfaced in the darkened woods lingered, casting a shadow over our once carefree outdoor escapades. As time passed, the allure of returning to the trail beckoned. Despite the lingering unease, the adventurous spirit that had initially drawn us to the North Georgia mountains prevailed. However, the cautionary tale of that fateful night served as a constant companion, a reminder that even in the tranquility of nature, the unexpected could unravel the threads of our perception of safety. Our subsequent visits to the cabin took on a more measured approach. Night hikes were still on the agenda, but with a heightened awareness of our surroundings. The woods that once felt like an extension of our own backyard now held an air of mystery and caution. Every rustle in the foliage, every distant sound, triggered a momentary flashback to that night when the line between adventure and peril blurred. In the safety of daylight, we revisited the trail that had become synonymous with our unnerving encounter. The once familiar landscape took on a different hue, with every tree and rock now harboring the potential for hidden threats. The echoes of that unsettling night resonated through the rustling leaves and the distant calls of wildlife, a constant reminder that the tranquility of the woods concealed secrets that could shatter the illusion of security. Despite the lingering unease, the passage of time dulled the sharp edges of our memories. Each visit to the cabin became an opportunity for catharsis, a way to reclaim the sense of joy and adventure that had been momentarily overshadowed. As we ventured into the familiar yet transformed woods, we forged new memories, gradually erasing the haunting imprints of that ominous night. The night hike that had initially held the promise of camaraderie and exploration had evolved into a cautionary tale, a narrative woven into the fabric of our annual traditions. It became a story to be shared around the cabin's fireplace, a testament to the unpredictable nature of the wilderness we had come to love. In the grand tapestry of our friendship, that night served as a thread that added depth and complexity. It became a shared experience that bound us together, a reminder that even in the face of uncertainty, the strength of our bonds could withstand the shadows that lurked in the corners of our adventures. As the years passed, the tale of the mysterious black Chevy SUV and the unnerving night hike became a cherished chapter in the story of our friendship. It was a narrative that transcended the boundaries of ordinary anecdotes, evolving into a symbol of resilience and the enduring spirit of exploration. The North Georgia mountains, once tainted by the specter of that night, gradually reclaimed their status as a haven for our outdoor escapades. The trails, once shrouded in an air of mystery, became familiar once more, albeit with a newfound respect for the unpredictable nature of the wilderness. Our annual visits to the cabin continued, marked by a blend of nostalgia and the thrill of the unknown. The night hike that had momentarily shaken our sense of security had ultimately become a defining chapter in the ongoing saga of our friendship. It served as a testament to the resilience of our bonds and the transformative power of shared experiences. As we gathered around the cabin's fireplace, recounting the events of that fateful night, there was a shared understanding that the woods, despite their potential for the unknown, held a unique allure. The memories of that night had become an integral part of our collective narrative, a story that unfolded against the backdrop of the North Georgia mountains. In the end, the night hike that had veered into the realm of the unknown became a tale of triumph over fear, a reminder that even in the face of uncertainty, the bonds forged in the crucible of shared experiences could endure. The North Georgia mountains, with their towering peaks and hidden trails, stood as witnesses to the ebb and flow of our adventures, forever entwined with the story of that unforgettable night.